I've arrived. Blue sky, clear water, harbor full of boats. But where I'm at is not the question. Because I'm in Georgetown in the Exumas of the Bahamas. But how did I get here? And how am I going to get to the next destination? Because I have one motor that works, one sail drive that works, and they're on opposite sides. That's still not the real question. The real question is, who's with me? So to find out this, join the new season of Bryan Sailing, and we'll see where it all began. To do that, we have to go back in time.
Set your spirit free. Chase the sunshine, feel the breeze. This is the life, it's all I need. Come sail with me.
It's always been my dream since I was a kid to live on a boat and to go on sailing adventures. And I have so many friends now that have tried and it's just not worked out. There's always one excuse, or even if they don't have a boat or can't get the boat or can't get the boat fixed. And so there's always an excuse, and I thought I was going to be one of those that's one more excuse. And so when I bought the boat, I was pretty nervous at first, and sure, I knew how to sail, and I've sailed my whole life, but it's different living on the boat and becoming a cruiser. All the things that you don't think about: where to anchor, where to take your trash, where to take the garbage, and all those things add up, and not knowing what to do and how to do stuff and where I can anchor. Why people don't cruise, or sometimes why they get stuck in one spot, my friend likes to call it anchor glue. And sometimes you want anchor glue. If it's blowing 30, 40, 50 knots, you want anchor glue. And I'm going to show you here in Rhode Island, where we had a boat drag and crash into another, and makes you pretty nervous out there. So it's blowing up a storm. That Catana there is dragging on top of that other boat. I think it's gonna miss me, but I've got the engines running. That's super sad, but there's nothing I can do. Hopefully it'll stop before it makes it to shore. Looks like that guy got it loose off of his boat, so he's not dragging anymore.
Hey, yeah, do you know if the older man on the 20-foot boat is okay? Does he need any assistance?
He was just up on deck. He looks like he's fine. His anchor's not dragging. He's set.
Okay, we were just headed out to help him, but if he's set, we'll stay put.
Yeah, it looks like it might have got free of that boat. It looks like it might have caught. If the wind can stay down a little bit, it might be okay. My heart is pumping. I'm just shaking from adrenaline. Yeah, they were on the radio, the other boats on the radio with the harbor master. I'm surprised they didn't call sea tow or something to this, and we're not moving at all. You can see the track back and forth that it just goes on. So, but the anchor is set a different direction, so it does make me a little bit nervous because we're basically set almost a 180 from this. So it did veer the anchor and would need to reset. And a lot of times that's why the boat will drag, is because when the wind shifts like that, it unsets the anchor. But I'm just glad I bought my new anchor. I was reading online, and they said if people don't laugh because your anchor is so outrageously large for your boat, it's too small. So I was in Rhode Island working on the boat doing these projects, and in a way I got anchor glue, right? Because I started to get comfortable there. But what pulled it loose is because it's getting cold and I didn't have a heater on the boat and I had to get south. So it's a matter of sometimes you're forced to pull that to pull up the anchor, and other times you just have to force yourself to do it. Yeah, so I had a problem with my windlass, and of course it happens at the worst possible time. It was pouring rain, it was windy, I had just taken the boat in to get the holding tank emptied, going back out to the anchorage, went to anchor, and everything was wound up. I couldn't get it right. I set the anchor, I finally got the anchor out, I set the anchor was dragging. Not only that, my remote control, one of the buttons wasn't working. I think the control unit, so I had to run in and use the manual switch because there's no manual switch out here. Anyways, it was one of those boat moments that you never want to have, but you always have. I got to get this thing fixed somehow, maybe. The tools I have weren't cutting it, so visit the Harbor Freight. I have better tools in Florida, but I don't have anything here because I'm trying to avoid heavy stuff on the boat, but it's what you get. Okay, after a visit to the hardware store, pick up some JB Weld and a wire brush. I cleaned up the missing threads. I mean, it's a terrible idea to have stainless steel and aluminum together, but whatever. I just need to make this work for a little while, so let's get some epoxy on here. Like, you can't glue something on. Like, this piece I'd never be able to glue it on, but because the bolts are in there and they kind of stay on their own, I'm just building a sort of a shell for the bolts to hold. I think it might hold for a little while anyway. Temporary fix till I can get a new windlass. And so I was pretty, I got pretty comfortable with the boat. I got the hang of using the boat up in Rhode Island, but I didn't really go anywhere, right? I was in Newport, I was in Bristol, I made it out to Block Island one time, but then it started getting cold, and I'm like, okay, I know I got to get out of here. But let's face it, I was scared. And at that time I was on my own, and so I'm like, okay, well, I was trying to find someone to go with me, and it just wasn't working out. And so I'm like, I'm just going to go for it on my own. So I single-handed in that first trip, leaving Newport, headed to Block Island, screecher up, sailing along. It was great. And I thought, man, I think I can really do this on my own. And so then from there, I headed into to Long Island and down through Long Island. And then I was really starting to feel independent, and I got in a little bit of rough weather, and I felt like, okay, I can handle this boat. I can handle this boat on my own. Went through, I anchored one night. It was the coolest thing. I anchored right under the Statue of Liberty. And there was a big learning curve, right? There's a lot of stuff that I'd never done before, trying to get them to open the bridges, knowing where you should go, going through the traffic. I'd never seen so much boat traffic in my life, and I've boated a lot, but I've never boated in those areas. And I did add AIS to the boat. It did have AIS, but it didn't work. But I only added an AIS receiver, so I didn't transmit. But you look on the chart, and it was just all in New York. If you had it all on and you zoomed out too far, it just all turned green with the little green boat markers because there were just so many boats there. And trying to navigate through that, make sure I know the rules of the road and that I'm doing stuff correctly. Big ferries and everything just running through there. Little boats, big boats, you name it. It was going through there. And I made it into Sandy Hook. And Sandy Hook is kind of the jump off point where you have to go offshore to get around New Jersey, because you can go the intercoastal most of the way, but that was my first offshore passage, is jumping off at Sandy Hook. And while I was there, Fabiana, we met each other a while back kiteboarding. She had decided she was wanted to come with me, and so she joined me in New York, and we started heading down through the Jersey shore. When Fabiana showed up in Sandy Hook, how much boating experience do you have?
Desafio grande.
It's a big challenge.
Imagina uma mulher que mal sabe falar o inglês, que está aprendendo.
Imagine a woman that doesn't even know really how to speak English that's learning.
Uma mulher que passou 33 anos no Brasil sendo empresária.
A woman that was like 33 years as an entrepreneur in Brazil.
Nunca tinha entrado no barco para morar.
Never never been on a boat to live.
Oh, meu Deus. Desafio de cultura diferente.
Yeah, a cultural challenge, right? Because it's not just the culture of American, it's the culture of boat life.
Outra coisa, ele fala,
Another thing?
apesar dele falar português,
Yeah, even though I speak Portuguese.
não tão bem.
Yeah, okay, I think I speak good, but she says I don't speak Portuguese that good because.
Ele fala uma coisa, às vezes eu entendo outra.
Yeah, well, she says I say something and then she understands something else. So the language barrier has created some.
Mas eu amo sair da bolha.
She loves.
Sair do mundinho pequeno e.
She loves. This is what doesn't translate. She loves leaving the ball. I think getting out of the box, getting out of a small world, right, and exploring new cultures. And so it's a challenge for both of us. And I think one of the things that works so well is because we both love adventure and to see new things. And we get to one place and we're like, okay, we've been here 3 days. This is too long. Let's go. And so everything from a lot of laughing, sometimes at ourselves, sometimes at others. We'll die. Our object here is to drive a circle around our boat. But we're just going in circles right over here. But you lose points if you hit the boat. Oh yeah, she figured it out.
Se você quer saber como é que funciona uma vida,
If you want to know what it's like, a life
de uma brasileira
of Brazilian
que nunca nem
that
sabe nada
that
sobre
knows
velejar,
nothing about
que tá
living on a
aprendendo,
boat, that's learning.
segue a gente, dá um like que a gente vai te mostrar
Yeah.
tudo.
Well, subscribe to our channel and give a thumbs up, and we're gonna show you. It's a good time. Lots of dancing, lots of good food, lots of friends, lots of adventures. We're always looking for the next thing. We were with our friends the other day, and we're like, they're having a ARG meeting, which we'll explain what that means later. And we're like, we're going. And they're like, well, what is it? And we're like, we don't know, but we're going. There's always something new and some mistake that we're making, and there's lots of laughter, either laughing at ourselves or laughing at
Ainda tem a
others.
questão da velocidade, porque o Bryan quer que eu aprenda assim, tudo assim, ó.
Yeah, so she's also
Sabe?
like, she's
E
upset because I want her to learn stuff faster.
Imagina se eu coloco ele dentro de uma loja para vender biquíni.
Okay,
Ele
she's.
vai ter um processo para aprender.
I already did that. So she's like,
Bikini,
imagine
Bryan.
if she put me in a store to sell bikinis. I would be a problem. But
Eu
no,
acho que vai ser mais
she
fácil.
doesn't listen, because when I was in Brazil, I went in her store where they sold bikinis, and I was selling bikinis.
Eu acho que vai ser mais fácil. Eu acho que vai ser mais fácil ele vender biquíni. Mas também, se você quer aprender a vender biquíni, eu posso ensinar você.
Yeah, maybe we'll start a channel on how to sell bikinis. All right, till next time, guys. We're having way too much fun out here, and we want you to join us in the new season of Bryan Sailing.
Mas o importante é que tá tudo interligado. Kite, biquíni, sol, desafios, fé, tudo tá ligado.